Welcome back, everybody. We are going to jump right into it, going over the list of 10 items that sold in my eBay store for the month of March 2021 for between $60 and $100. And for all of you Disney fans, you will definitely like this one right here. It's this really cool Disney snow globe. And you could see here, it's got Mickey Mouse right in the center, right in that horse. We've got Pete on the side with his guns blazing, and we've got Minnie Mouse adoringly looking up at him. As you could see, it does light up, which is a nice, cool feature to it. This originally came from the Disney store, but we obtained it from a big bulk shop Goodwill purchase. We had an asking price of $75 on it, but we took a best offer of $60 on it. Now, usually an item like this will actually sell for more, maybe closer to actually $100. But the problem is that when we received this item, there was some damage to it because, as you could see, there are some pieces here that could really easily snap off. Now, fortunately, these parts didn't, but we actually circled the areas on the photos that there were some tiny, tiny little parts that came off, but that still affects the value. What we did with these is we were very transparent in disclosing the areas where there was any damage. And what we did is we showed where these pieces were in a little bag so that if someone wanted to glue them back on, you could do that. Now, you can return items from Shop Goodwill if there is damage, but we had so many items in the lot that it just didn't make sense given how much that we had gotten from the lot. We were already going to do very well on it. And so, we figured still $60 for this. We were okay with it. And they did give us a little bit of a discount because of the damage. So that's another thing you could do if you run into some of those situations with Shop Goodwill. Now, in terms of packing this up, what I had to do with this, because you could see here, it's really something you got to be careful with because anything could snap off the gun pieces. So I covered this in a large bubble wrap. And then what I did was put it inside of a box that had some boundary around it. And I filled the whole entire area around that with packing peanuts. I know a lot of people hate packing peanuts, but for something like this, that is really what you need to keep this safe. And then I double boxed it. So I put that box in another box. Everything was solid, nothing moved in there, and that's the key for an item like this. Now, I actually had a lot of items that sold for $60 or many more that sold for $60 last month. So I may do a follow-up video to this one if people are interested. Let me know about that in the comments section. So the next item that I sold over here, and it's actually two items. This is a pairing of comic books that I had obtained through a storage unit haul that I had filmed quite a while ago on the channel. So these were just kind of sitting around here. And what I want you to pay attention to is the title Akira. This is a very popular title, and it's hard to find some of these because they had low print runs, especially this one here, number 36. Number 11, not so much. So it really does depend on the issue. But these two, even though they had scratching and damage on it, sold pretty quickly after I listed it for $65. In fact, every item that I'm going to show you in this video sold within the same month that I listed it, with the exception of that snow globe, and that's because it had some damage on it. But you could see up top here, there's some scuffing and there's some color loss and stuff. But despite all of that, and this is common with these black covers in comics, they really show any kind of flaw on it. And it's very hard to get black cover comics in near mint condition because of that. But still, despite the scuffing, despite the damage, despite the fact that it's not even that old, we're talking 1989, 1995, still got a $65 price tag on it. If you ever see vintage Akira t-shirts, by the way, those can also sell for good money. Drew from Profit Monsters YouTube channel was just talking to me about that recently. If you ever see those. So, and check out Drew at the Profit Monsters YouTube channel. He's a great guy. Now, over here, we've got a lot of vintage how to draw paint books, and you've probably seen me pick these up from time to time at different sales that I've gone to. When I see them at estate sales, when I see them at the flea market, I pick them up. I try to get them for $1 or less. Now, here's the interesting thing with these books. If you try to sell any one of these books individually, it is not worth it. Even when you factor in, shipping that's not going to necessarily be that expensive, it still is just not worth it. You're lucky to get less than $10 on one of these books. But the power in these books is bulking them together. That's where you get your money. So you can see here, there's 22 of them. So at $1 a piece or less, there's still plenty of profit to be made for the sale price here, which is actually what you see of $70, $69.99. So it's sold for that price. And you can see here, after that first picture, which I try to display, and I do display all of the books. Then I have these individual ones where I break them down into smaller groups. Sometimes my smaller group will be 2 books. Sometimes it'll be 4 books. Sometimes, 3 books. It just depends on how many there are. A name that you should be on the lookout for, by the way, is Walter T. Foster. Definitely write that down somewhere. You'll want to look for that name. You will generally see it scribbled somewhere on the book. So you could see here. Actually, let me give you a close-up one so you could see it better. Let's get a Walter. Actually, not on that one. Walter, where'd you go, Walter? See here, right down there. It says published by Walter T. Foster, and this one here, you could see Walter T. Foster, and sometimes his name is signed on there as well. So. It just depends. You just got to look around for it. So that's that one, $70. And you could also sell these in smaller lots. Like I sold one. I had like 3 leftover ones, like duplicates of ones in here, and I sold them for like $20 or $19. So you could still do them in smaller lots. It's just tough when you have only one of them. So definitely this is something you want to bulk together. All right, let's go over to the next one. I did a video on this in detail. If you want to see it, I'll link to it on top. And I discuss all other types of faux foods, but this happens to be faux fruit. Don't these look really nice and yummy, right? They're nice and shiny and everything. Really cool. They're made of, sometimes these are made of plastic. Sometimes they're made of wax. These are great. I sold them for the price you see here, $65. And I got these for free in a dumpster. Yes, in a dumpster. Now, not, what you think. It's not like, this was an Oscar de Grouch dumpster can or, container that I was, swimming around in grime or anything like that. No, it was in the back of a Dollar Tree store, a Dollar General store. And literally open up the lid. It was right there, just sitting on top in a bag, in a plastic bag. Someone had just thrown them out. In fact, I think there were 2 bags. And so I just took it out and brought it back and listed it. They actually needed very little cleaning. So there you go. Free sourcing. And I should say, just as a disclaimer, make sure if you're doing anything, checking in dumpsters, that you're checking with your local laws and ordinances, because in some places it's not legal to do that. Other places it is. So you just got to go and check. So these are really cool. I had these laying around for a while. I got them at a garage sale a long time ago. They are power flow fuel rails. I sold them for the price you see here, $75. Here's a little close up of them. Now, they were actually opened and they have been used before. So you could see there, like try to give you another close up of it. You could see here that these had some scuffing on it. So there's some paint loss there. And I honestly don't know if it had all the pieces it was supposed to have because it was open. So, what you do in that situation is you just disclose, hey, listen, this is what you're getting. I'm not 100% sure if it's all complete or not. This is what I've got. And just put a price on it and see what happens. And these sold for $75 because they're discontinued. Can't find this one anymore. Also, the brand of a vehicle that it goes to is Ford and Mustang. So Ford, you always see me wearing my Ford shirt around. People love Ford, and they need car parts. Car parts will sell very well. And also, you have to figure, even if something like this has some scuffing on it, right? Well, what do people do with things that have paint loss, right? They'll just repaint it. They'll customize it. Maybe someone wants to get this and put it to a red car or a yellow car. So big deal. They're just going to paint over this. So keep that in mind. Don't look at items like this and think, oh, well, no one's going to want it because it has some damage on it. People may still want it. I just put up a street sign for Easy Street last night, and it has some a paint loss on it. But you know what? If someone wants to cover over the paint, then they could cover over the paint if they want. So sometimes people want to do custom things with the items. This one here, I also got out of that storage unit. It's just been sitting around for a while, so I went through all my role-playing games and listed them, listed all the ones that were in box sets. So if you ever see ones like this in box sets, this one is called Planescape. It looks boring, right? It looks really plain, but this is the original campaign setting, and it's for AD&D, which you'll see on the bottom. So anything, I've always told you, TSR, you see that label right there on the bottom. You always want to look for anything TSR, especially if it's vintage. This one sold for the price you see, $75. So this is what the back of the kit look like right over here. And, you know, I like to show the inside just to show people that it's a clean inner box, and then just lay out all the maps. You don't have to open up all of the maps to display them. If there's maybe a rare poster that's usually left out, then I would open it up and show. But normally just showing them folded like this is sufficient. Now, what you'll sometimes find with these old boxes is that the sides of them are split. If that's the case, feel free to just put some tape on the side of them. I don't remember if this one had any split ends or not, but there were a bunch that I did have that I listed last month that I just had to tape together. They literally were flat, taped them together, put some tape on it. It displays way better that way and helps make the sale. Don't leave them flat, just tape them up, and people will still buy them. So the next one, I think we went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's number 6. So we've got a lot of all-star comics. Yes, comic books. I specialize in comic books, as many of you know. This was a lot that I just had sitting in the shed. Is why I love going into Primetime Treasure Shed quarters and just going through it every once in a while and say, oh, you know what? I want to pull this out and list it. And there you go. There's this one here. These sold for the price you see, $85. It's a lot of 15 of the books. Now, there's a couple important things that I want to tell you about this. So if you look at this, right, if you're someone who's new into comics, this is important. You'll look at this, right, and you'll say, okay, well, looks like we actually have two different types of comics, because this one here says All-Star Comics and it says Super Squad on the bottom, right? These are all from the 1970s, or mostly. And then up top, look what it says here. Now, once we start to get into this issue here, it says Justice Society, right? And then you go up top. And so if you were to look at it really quickly, like let's take this little square here to the left, these 4 on the left here, it looks like the 2 on the top there are different from the ones on the bottom, right? Real quickly, because they changed the way the title was configured. But if you look closely enough, they actually are both all-star comics. They just changed who were the main characters that were going to be featured in there. So at one point they were featuring Super Squad, then at another point they were featuring Justice Society of America. So that's important to keep in mind. People who are collectors, love to see the sides of the comic books, or what we call the spines. So make sure you are showing those. Let's go over here. We've got some just some individual shots of the comic books right over here, just laid out. And you know, these were good. These were good comics. There were it was the second appearance of Power Girl was in this, and also the first appearance of Vulcan, the son of fire, was in this as well. So those are things that help sell it. So you could see here, there's Power Girl, and basically she's kind of like upside down in the white outfit there, being held by the guy in gray. And then over here, you see in the center there, that's Vulcan, the son of fire. So Another thing I want you to keep in mind is that while this is mostly consecutive, so you see here it spans. That's a key word to use, spans. It spans issues 59 to 74. Spans means that it starts at 59, goes to 74, but it doesn't mean that it's the consecutive run of all the issues. Why? Because I pulled out issue number 69. So it goes 59 to 74, but just leaving out that one comic. Why? Because that one comic right here is worth $45, and that's what I sold it for last month. Why is it worth $45? Because you see right there on the bottom, it says introducing the Huntress. Now, the Huntress has different versions. This is the Earth 2 version of the Huntress, and that's why I took this one out. You will lose money including something like this into a lot of comic books. So be careful when you're going through comic books that if you're going to sell something as a lot, that you're not putting something in there that has much, much more value than everything else in there. That's real important. So from comic books to vintage video games, this is a classic game called Wizardry. I got this at an estate sale. Found it just in a side room in the basement. Some of you may remember it. I have another version of this also currently for sale right now. This one sold for $90. So I just took $10 off of the price. The game is definitely hard to find. You can see there it's used for the Mac or the Lisa. Who here remembers the Lisa back in the day? It's not even, I don't even think this one was 100% complete. I don't think it had everything necessarily, but it had most of the stuff that was there. And so because of that, we've got the disc right there. We have the manual of some of the cards. I don't know. Maybe it was, I don't remember 100%, but I had most of the stuff, and that's what led to the $90 sale. Very difficult to find. Ever see video game stuff with dragons, especially if it's 80s or 90s? That's a clue right there. Wizards. These are just themes to think about when you're out there sourcing. Next one here, this would be, if we're going down to number one item, this would be number 2. This is the West Coast Avengers. Very popular because this one has the Vision Quest storyline in it. Now, it's interesting because a lot of times when people think of comic books, they think, well, the first issue is the one that's the most important, maybe the last issue, maybe the 50th, the 100th. But this just goes to show you that sometimes there's storylines that just kind of appear randomly in the middle of a comics run. And this is issues 42 to, what do we got here? 42 to 44. So those right there, this is important because we've got White Vision right over here. Oh, no, sorry, 45. So 42, 43, 44, 45. Yep, I got to remember how to count. So 45, we've got White Vision, and he played a prominent role in the WandaVision series. And so because of that, this book really had shot up in value. And if you have the storyline, and I happen to just have these laying around, so it was the right time to sell it because of WandaVision. And there you go. That one led to the price that you see there. That was a $97 and $50 sale for 4 comic books. Really cool. There's Scarlet Witch right there. So she's also very popular, someone you want to look for. And lastly, I had made a mention of this in the video where I talked about the sales that were from $110 to $700. I said that I had sold a second printing of Amazing Spider-Man 361, which has the first appearance of Carnage. And this one, I took a best offer of $100 on it. Goes to show that second printings will still sell well. Sometimes even fifth printings of comic books, like the first issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, by the way, like that, the fifth printing of that is selling well. So it does depend on the title and the comic book. Carnage is a character here who is crucial to make sure you're looking out for. Very important. It's the first full appearance of him, although again, this is a second printing. Now, how would you know that this is a second printing? This is where having some inside knowledge about the comic books really help. You have to know about some of the colors sometimes on the comic book. So you could see here that this background is silver, right? Right behind there's silver. Well, for the first printing, which I showed you in the prior video, the first printing is a white background. And so that's really the main way you're going to be able to quickly distinguish between a first and second printings. And sometimes there's other color shadings you want to look for, like purple and something like that. But this one I did very well with the sale last month. So it was overall a great month with Carnage items. People are just looking for these types of what are now considered classics, and just also goes to show you that there are comic books from the 1990s that will still sell for good money. They're not all garbage. There definitely are exceptions to it. This one came out in 1992. So there you go, folks. That is the full run, a little over 20 minutes. I try to keep it under that for now, but oh, how could I forget? I got to make sure I show you something. Hopefully I still have it here. Let me share my screen with you. Make sure that you come by to my the auction I'm going to have on Westside Gary's channel, which is right here. I'm going to put the link to it down below. It's going to be Saturday night at 8:45 p.m. The time got bumped up a little bit. 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going to go back and forth selling lots. I'm going to have tons of stuff. I'm going to have comic books that I'm auctioning off. I'm going to have jewelry. I'm going to have clothes. I'm going to have ephemera. There'll be sheet music. There'll be all sorts of stuff. There'll be some things that might surprise you, but it's all going to be just a really fun time. I love going on. Well, I haven't gone on a show before, but I love talking with Gary and interacting with him. He was a guest on my show once, and he comes in the chat every once in a while. So it's always a lot of fun. A lot of Westside Gary and have gone over there. So make sure you come on by, check it out, even if it's just to say hello. We'll look forward to seeing you there. Make sure if you like this video, hit the like button. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Check out that join button if these videos are helping you make money. Support the channel with membership. Starts as low as $1.99, and you get those cool fun emojis to use, get to see the videos an hour early, and I will mention your store and link to it in the description section of one of the videos. So if you haven't taken advantage of that yet, make sure you contact me at primetimetreasure, no S at the end, at gmail.com, and I will get you in there. So with that, everyone, I will see you at the next one, and hopefully see you Saturday night. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.